Oh, what is up? Welcome to the first course of tonight's dinner party. I am Alex Delany, if you're not familiar with my face. And I'm going to be joined by a special guest tonight. But first, I just want to say a little bit about why we're here. So tonight, our dinner party is to benefit the Lee Initiative. And basically, the Lee Initiative houses several programs aimed at helping the restaurant industry. But specifically, it's the Restaurant Workers Relief Program that we're really stoked about. It's an organization that's turning restaurants across the country into relief centers for COVID-19. They're doing really amazing work that helps restaurants and also people suffering from the disease and healthcare workers. So the Lee Initiative is why we're here. And I just, in case you don't see it on your screen, there is a button that you can tap to donate to the Lee Initiative. I really, really, really would love, if you can donate, please donate. They're doing amazing work. But now, probably the reason you're not here because of me. You're here because of my guest. And I would like to say that I am pretty stoked to bring this guest on. So, first of all, a little bit of background. We are here for the drinks course. The drinks course, as you may guess, is alcohol related. So, I had some people messaging me saying, what are you going to be drinking? What are you going to be doing with Ezra? And I am going to be drinking a cocktail that I already made. It's a really simple cocktail. It's something that you've definitely heard of before. It's Italian. It's called a Negroni. And here it is. While we wait for Ezra to come on, he's coming on right now and just allow the comments. This is my drink. Looking pretty good. So, I want to run you through how I made it. 1 part gin, 1 part sweet vermouth, 1 part Campari or Aperitivo, and instead of Campari, I'm using this. This is Forte Aperitivo. It is a really, really cool bitter aperitivo that's made in Brooklyn. I'm a big fan. They make good stuff. Great Negroni. Okay, so let's see here. Hold on 1 second. In case you were wondering, technology. We haven't all really figured it out yet. I heard Adam had a nice little problem in his as well. So, I'm looking for our guest so he can join this live. All right, we're going to give Ezra 1 second. Okay, so the things basically that I'm looking forward to tonight are the next course. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Christina Che, but she is going to be joined by Bowen Yang from Saturday Night Live. Just a small program. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. For anyone that's just joining us, I do want to say that we are here because we're raising money for the Lee Initiative. If you don't know what the Lee Initiative is, it's basically a really amazing nonprofit that turns restaurants into, basically relief centers for people that are in need of help. So, let's see. All right, Ezra, where are you at? This is probably my fault here. Okay. Also, I would like you, if you're drinking a cocktail right now, or wine or beer, please, or something non-alcoholic, kombucha, great. Please leave what you're drinking in the comments. I want to know. And Ezra, could you request in now? It's time. Oh, also, I guess, cheers. Ezra, you have to scroll all the way back up to request in, if you can't find it. which I can never find it. So, give you a second. Oh, look who it is. Okay, it's telling me that Ezra is unable to join. He was invited. I gave him permission. Give us 1 sec here. Okay, technical difficulty. We're going to be all right. Okay, well, first off here, I just want to say that we've already raised $1,600 for the Lee Initiative. So thank you to everyone who's donating. While we're waiting, I asked you guys to drop whatever you are drinking in the comments. So please keep doing that. I want to see what y'all are drinking. I will shout out some of my faves here. Also, whoever said I have nice hair, thank you.
Whoa. Is this working now?
Oh, we're live.
Okay.
What's going on, man?
I'm chilling. Can I go landscape mode, or is that bad? Does it look great? That. Now we're not. I can't go landscape.
We're not in a place where the rules of gravity work as they normally do.
Okay. See, because I'm old school. I like to use earbuds. So
I feel you on that.
I've got the thing sticking out the bottom. So whatever, I can hold
it. Dude, what's going on? How's your quarantine been going?
You know, the quarantine is fine. I'm
as good as it could be.
I'm stressed about the world, but as far as like the day-to-day of being at home without a real schedule, that's what I do in between tours anyway. So that's old hat to me, but of course these are crazy times.
You're practiced. You've got a few rounds of this under your belt.
Oh, I know how to burn through 3 weeks doing nothing.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Southern California.
Oh, Southern California. So I'm coming to you from the future right now.
Oh yeah, you're a few hours ahead. That's why I'm not going to have a Negroni because it's only two.
Are you sipping anything right now?
Got some water over here.
Some would say the original cocktail. Water.
It's a cocktail, hydrogen and oxygen. I was actually gonna have some coffee, and I went into the kitchen and I actually grabbed the French press, and there was like a half a sip in there. So I would have liked to have a coffee, but I didn't have time to get it going.
That's fair. Okay, so I have some questions lined up for you that these are selfish questions. These are basically just things I want to know. And I'm coming at you right now from the great state of New Jersey.
Love it.
And I know that you are from New Jersey.
That's right. I mean, as often is the case in the tri-state area, I've kind of a mixed heritage.
Sure.
Maybe you do as well. So basically, my dad's from the Bronx. My mom's also from the city/Jersey. When I was a baby, we lived in Manhattan. But then I grew up in Jersey. So I consider, and then went back to New York. So I'll always feel like, especially in New York, when people ask where you're from, I
Sure.
always have this connection to the city. But sure, I'll put Jersey right up top.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I have to ask. Obviously, Jersey gets a bit of a bad rap.
Yes.
Um, it's a burden I would live with, I guess. Uh, do you think it's because people don't know about Jersey diners? And are you a fan of a Jersey diner?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I love Jersey diners. When where I grew up, there were so many classic ones. I spent the most of this one in this town called Bloomfield. Shout
Okay.
out to Bloomfield. First of all, Bloomfield has the famous Sopranos diner, the final season.
Yeah.
Although that's almost in a different category. That's a place called Holston's, but I grew up going a lot to a place called Nevada Diner. Um, and then my cousin who lived one town away, his local diner was called Five Brothers off Route 17. And then, of course, there's the famous TikTok diner. So, yeah, I love a good Jersey diner.
Hell yeah.
And I really hope they're all surviving this.
Same here. What is like the all time classic diner order for you?
Well, the I have memories a lot of time, just going out in like high school and not having a lot of money and getting like a grilled cheese, which for some reason I picture like when would I have started going to a diner by myself with friends? Maybe let's say I was like 14, like late 90s.
Yeah.
I picture getting like a grilled cheese at one of these diners, and maybe in 1999 that cost like 3.85 or something. Like
Sure.
just enough to get it. But then I think a lot of Jersey people would agree with me that one of our classic diner dishes is called disco fries, which
Yes.
then later in my life, when I finally, went abroad and I experienced places besides the tri-state area, I understood that disco fries are basically kind of like a not so great version of the Canadian poutine, because it's fries with, in Jersey it would probably be mozzarella cheese and
Yeah.
gravy. Is that your experience? Is that how you
Yes.
define disco
Yeah.
fries?
Yeah.
No idea. Why are they called disco fries? I don't know.
Because well, now that you say it, maybe it's like discount poutine. I don't know. I always see it
Oh,
as like discount poutine, but that's definitely not why it's called
that makes a lot more sense than like discotheque.
that. Yes. Okay. So you are known also as a New York person, obviously. What New York spots are you missing right now? Are there any that instantly pop out and you're like, oh, I would do terrible things to get a something from something?
I mean, I had one really nice friend. Shout out to Steve Reisman, also known as the $2 bill man. He's very famous in New York and around the world, giving out $2 bills. He sent me a Katz's Delicatessen kind of gift care package.
Wow.
So that was sick because we had the hot dogs and the sauerkraut and some latkes and stuff. I mean, one thing I remember, I saw early on
Yeah.
there was some press when people were still getting their acts together that showed all these like delivery people waiting outside Carbone, and there was no social distancing, and people were giving that as an example of like, oh my God, these people, because it's an expensive restaurant. People were like, these people, like rich people sending people to get their stuff, and there was definitely
Yeah.
some truth in that, because first and foremost, anybody working delivery, they need to be protected, be safe, they need to be well paid, they need to be overpaid, or
Yes.
or whatever. I mean, get overtime or whatever. So anyway, that was
100%.
all true, and so I saw that and I was like, this is a mess. People shouldn't be risking their health to deliver veal parm. But then there was a small part of me that said, but I have had the veal parm there, and as far as like expensive bougie New York food goes, I do understand the appeal of the veal parm, and I have very mixed feelings about veal. But that's the kind of, when I saw that article, I did think, that Carbone veal parm is special.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. Carbone is a very strange restaurant to me because I grew up eating a lot of like red sauce Italian American food.
Mm.
So going there and seeing like incredibly expensive pasta alla vodka, I'm just like, we can make that at home.
I get it, and that place they play into it with the tablecloth
They
and
do.
stuff. So I could understand if, for some people, yeah, it's like, what do I need this for?
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of like takeout and contactless pickup and everything, what have you been eating? Have you been cooking? Have you been ordering? What's the deal in LA?
Mostly been cooking at home, occasionally ordering. Trying to support places, but with all the wiping down and stuff, you can't do that every single day. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of eating at home, working our way through various meats and produce boxes and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like the CSA has never had a better time to be alive.
Hmm.
Big time CSA vibes. What have been like the greatest hits so far? Have you cooked anything you're like, damn, that was particularly good?
Well, I got to shout out my girlfriend Rashida because last night actually, it's the classic thing that sweets start running a little bit low because you're not. It's kind of the last thing you think about. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you have enough food for everybody and get the basics.
Yeah.
And so sometimes then you're kind of like, oh, when you actually do want dessert or something, you're like, what do we have? And so we just had some like few months old chocolate ice cream, and it just seemed a little bit boring.
Yeah.
But we unfortunately we're not a household that just has like sprinkles at all times. Some people they would always have sprinkles. We didn't have that,
Fully stocked.
and
Yeah.
so she got creative and she had some black sesame seeds and put those on the ice cream, some peanut butter and some maple syrup, and I swear it tasted like that place in New York, Morgenstern. Like
Yeah.
the really fancy ice cream with the crazy flavors.
Yeah.
There's something about the peanut butter, the black sesame, and the chocolate ice cream. I was like, this is a new classic. This
All
is
right.
so good.
I'm filing that away for future use. I've actually never done sesame on ice cream. I love sesame.
Yeah, it's well, and also like sometimes at Japanese restaurants they'll have just straight up black sesame ice cream, and
Yeah.
the flavor works so well.
It's killer. Um, okay. Another restaurant related question for you.
Yeah.
One of my all time favorite Instagram eras was when you were posting all of the just like crazy random vintage T-shirts with all the frogs on them and like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so as a restaurant merch enthusiast and
Yeah.
supporter and diehard, I need to know what's the best restaurant merch that you own, and are there any white whales? Is there anything out there that's like the one you've been hunting?
Let me think what I own. I mean, well, last year we did a video for the song Sunflower from our album. Jonah Hill directed it, and we basically decided to do the whole thing on the Upper West Side. So we spent half the day at Barney Greengrass and
Yeah.
half the day at Zabar's. So they all gave us merch. So I feel like proud to wear my Barney Greengrass shirt. I mean, Zabar's merch is great. It's a lot more people have it. The Barney Greengrass shirt felt a little more
That is true.
special. But as far as white whales, there's this one. There's this famous sushi restaurant in LA called Matsuhisa, which is the original Nobu.
Yeah.
The guy who went on to start this crazy empire with Robert De Niro. But the original, which all like the Hollywood people were hitting probably starting in the 80s, is called Matsuhisa on La Cienega. And when you walk in, they have a framed Matsuhisa varsity jacket that looks like it's probably from that early era.
Wow.
Like maybe something that like I don't know who would have been hitting it, like Kevin Costner in like 1990 might have had like a Matsuhisa varsity jacket. So when you see that there, you're kind of like, that would be incredible to have like a early, especially it's the same thing because streetwear collectible stuff. It's all about having that like special thing that's 1 degree further than because it's like anybody could get a pair of Jordans, but do you have this one?
Yeah.
It's that kind of mentality. So I think it's the type of thing that you would probably walk in, somebody's got a brand new like Nobu t-shirt, and then you walk in with a Matsuhisa, just be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, but this,
And you just like slowly whisper, you're like, it was rumored that Kevin Costner wore this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. What has been the like quarantine fit? Are you embracing the life of leisure when it comes to clothing? Are you actually dressing like you usually do? What's the deal?
It's pretty leisure vibe. Yeah, I'm wearing a Tracy Chapman long sleeve right now.
Nice.
This is kind of mid-period Tracy Chapman. Yeah, keeping it pretty casual. I try there's like 1 or 2 days where I try to do like a color coordinated thing just for fun.
Sure.
On Easter, we just randomly were like, let's wear pastels around the house. So that happened.
That's the official day of pastels worldwide.
Hmm. Exactly.
Um, okay. What have you been listening to in quarantine? Is there new stuff, old stuff? Has it been any like one album? What's the deal?
Um, I'm always like bouncing around to different stuff. The let's see, of like new stuff, there's been some kind of like vibey, atmospheric music. There's this guy Sam Gendel. He's a really cool saxophonist, and we've worked together. And he put out his kind of debut solo album. And then there's another great LA musician named John Carroll Kirby. You would see his name in all sorts of credits of stuff that you know, Solange, things like that. And he's
Yeah.
put out some music that's like I don't know if you'd be offended if you called new age, but atmospheric, relaxing, vibey music. So that's some new stuff I thought was cool. And then, I'm always just kind of going back to the classics. Lately, one of my good friends who I do a radio show with, Jake, we share a lot of music taste in common. Both love the Grateful Dead, but the one of his favorite bands that I've always thought was cool, but I never gave enough of a chance was Guided by Voices. So actually, the past few days he's been talking.
Uh,
I was like, you know what? Anytime I hear Guided by Voices, I like it. The singer, I've always loved his voice. I think he's got a way with words. So he was like, dude, go deeper on their classic album Alien Lanes. So I've been listening to that a lot.
nice. Has that led to any writing? Any stewing on new songs, new tracks, and albums? What's the deal?
I'm always writing little things, chord progressions,
Sure.
ideas. It is, you know, in these strange and uncertain times, it is kind of difficult to, I'm sure like everybody feels, you're just taking in so much information. So
Yeah.
the idea, sometimes with songwriting, to really know what you want to say, you need to process stuff. So
Sure.
I feel like in terms of like really writing lyrics and stuff and really putting it together, this is a difficult time to do that just because you're looking at everything that's happening and worrying and things like that. But yeah, always little chord progressions. That's kind of how I start.
Absolutely. Okay, and for everyone, if anyone just joined, I'm here with Ezra. We are raising money for the Lee Initiative. There's a donate button. Looks like you guys have. Please hold. Already raised $2,600, which is awesome. Thank you so much
Nice.
for donating. Um, we've got a little bit left, so if you want to donate while we're still on screen, that would be amazing. I'm going to keep asking Ezra some questions, though. Okay, Ezra, I'm obviously a fan of the Negroni.
Mm.
I was thinking about making a caprese martini,
Oh, deep. I love
and
that.
I was like a step away from doing it, and I was just like, I don't have the bandwidth right now. I can't do it. Um, two-part question. One, where did the idea for that drink come from? Also, this is a drink from Neo Yokio.
Right.
I don't know if you
A
want to explain it a little
cartoon.
more.
Yeah, New York
Um,
was a cartoon that it's on Netflix. Made it with, among other people, Jaden Smith. He's the star of it. And there's this big plot point about the Caprese Martini, which is I think a real thing. I mean, we kind of give it a specific look, but I had one once at a restaurant that's sadly closed now, but it was a classic LA restaurant called Dominic's,
yeah.
which I think went all the way back to like the Frank Sinatra era and stuff. And they had a Caprese Martini, which involved, you know, martini elements, but you got your little mozzarella ball on the on the toothpick.
That's amazing. Okay, so obviously I did not go for a caprese martini.
Mm.
When it comes to a cocktail or a beer or wine or kombucha or coffee or whatever
Mm.
liquids, what are your go-tos? What are your favorites?
I mean, coffee is a huge part of my life. That's very important to me. I can't, I really can't be awake more than, let's say, like 30 minutes, or I can't be out of bed more than 30 minutes without coffee. And
Sure.
so that's a huge part of my day. As far as alcohol goes, I've had my period, my party periods, but I wouldn't consider myself a big drinker. Although now being home all the time, I think I finally understand that kind of French thing where people would have 1 or 2 glasses every night with dinner. I
Yeah.
think I was always kind of like, what's the point of that? And now especially when, it gives the day some shape and makes dinner feel a little more official. It's also, just a way to have one and a half glasses of wine. I find I get it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I am kind of like now into wine with dinner.
Yeah, I totally feel that, especially because like I'm working from home now too. There needs to be like a thing that separates the work time for me from
Yeah.
the relax and be a regular person time. And usually that's like, okay, I'm gonna have a glass of wine and have dinner, and now I'm not working anymore.
Yeah, and especially if you pour the glass of wine even before dinner's done.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I think now I get that. It's like the new phase of the day is starting. Everybody can stand in the kitchen, little chit chat. Maybe you've been in separate rooms for a few hours. It's like it's the inverse of the morning coffee.
Absolutely. Okay, and speaking of coffee questions for you. I hear that you're not a cold brew fan. What's the deal?
I I've talked about this with coffee people. Here's the thing. I love drinking coffee. I'm not like an aficionado. I do
Yeah.
kind of feel like whatever it's more about the feeling, the high. But
Yeah.
I've just always found I've always found that what's called iced coffee I find to be smoother and less sour than cold brew. And I feel like there was this huge trend where suddenly everything was cold brew, and you start going to the place to say, "Could I get an iced coffee?" And they say, "Well, we have cold brew. Is cold brew okay?" And you'd be kind of like, "Well, why isn't there both?" And in my experience, and I've talked with coffee people, and they're like, "This should not be the case." But in my experience, a lot of what passes for like really nice, fancy, expensive cold brew tastes like so sour. And I don't mind strong coffee. I love strong coffee. Like I said, I need the
Yeah.
high. But do you feel this at all?
I,
That cold brew can often be sour?
I think that it's a lot of the times people are like, oh, we need to make cold brew and we need to make it rocket fuel,
Mm.
just like so crazy strong that yeah, a lot of the times it can be. But I've been making like a ton of it at home. It's super easy, and if you just like use coffee that you like, it tastes nice.
Because all it really means is that you don't brew it hot. So you grind up the beans, mix it,
And just let it sit for like 12 hours.
and it's not sour.
No,
Nice smooth finish.
nice smooth finish.
Okay, that's all I care about.
Um, okay, but then I also hear so. All right, you're not a coffee snob. You appreciate coffee in its entirety.
Mm.
Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Duncan, no question. I'm not I'm not anti Starbucks necessarily, but Duncan I've just always had a soft spot for, and also because also Duncan I like the donuts.
Oh yeah,
I like everything about it. I like the color scheme.
yes,
I like the sense of community. I've just always liked Duncan a lot. But actually, I do have to give a shout out since I've been spending more time in California the past few years. I do I do like Coffee Bean because when you get a big ass iced coffee from Coffee Bean, their go to thing is crushed ice. It's just kind of fun, it's different.
oh
So just picture
yeah,
like a large iced coffee full of crushed ice, and it's kind of fun to move the straw around. So don't sleep on Coffee Bean. They were starting to expand into New York a little bit, as I recall.
yeah. The presence is not quite there yet.
They got some steep competition.
Okay, Ezra, I have one last question for you.
Hmm.
What are you looking at, like in your head right now?
Yeah,
What is the future of a Vampire Weekend tour? What it like? Is that a
yeah.
question that can even be answered?
I mean, it's interesting you asked me that because we just announced a bunch of cancellations today. We're very lucky that our album came out last year and we got to go play all our big shows, got to do our big New York show, big LA show, but we're really looking forward to playing some of the smaller cities this year, and we'll have to see. The music industry is in a lot of disarray now because you have all different degrees of optimism. You have some people being like, well, maybe the fall shows will happen. You're like, maybe. And then some people are like, who like you got to hunker down for years. We'll see. I don't know. I think I'm sure we'll do some fun stuff until things get back to normal, but I'm pretty sure that I'm at least optimistic that when I see like these big takes, like nothing will ever be the same. I just can't believe that because if if the world has survived pandemics before, how could we not in this modern era get back to get back to the way things used to be? Now that said, everybody's gonna have different timelines. I guess clearly this applies to more than just music, but
Yeah.
I've got to believe that there will come a point when the going to shows and festivals is 100% back to normal. I don't buy this that it's going to never be the same. But of course, is it next year, 2 years, more? That I'm not sure about. So I'm confident that there'll be tours in the future that feel identical to what we did in the past. But like in any industry, we have to be re- ready for a weird rebuilding period.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be smaller capacities and bigger spaces. There could be something said for that. But yeah, I'm optimistic in a long term way that
Awesome.
it'll be back to normal.
Okay, well, two things. One, my parents, my little brother and my little sister went and saw you guys in Philly last year.
Oh,
Um,
sick! I love
and
that show.
I think you guys played at the Mann Center, I believe.
Yeah, it's such a cool like wooden amphitheater.
Yeah,
Just yeah, great spot, great
super
venue.
cool. So they had a great time. And two, it looks like this course is just about over. I'm finished my cocktail. And my coworker Christina Che is going to come on with her guest from SNL in another 15 minutes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
thanks for having me, and
Ezra,
thanks
thanks
to
so much for
everybody who
joining us.
donated. It's really cool you guys